There are whispers that crawl through this city, soft as prayer, sharp as teeth. Most people pretend not to hear them. Evelyn doesn't have that luxury anymore. Welcome to Tongue of the Serpent, a Southern Gothic horror podcast where memory has a pulse and the dead are never done speaking. Tonight's story is Whispers. The Rootheart is stirring beneath New Orleans, and the city itself has begun to speak. Every street corner, every mirror, every dream carries the same warning. What was buried is listening again. Whispers. Confession to Lucien. Evelyn finds him in the back room of the Krewe of the Morningstar, a place thick with the scent of old paper and candle wax, where the past lingers in dust motes and forgotten promises. The door creaks as she steps inside, and Lucien Devereaux, seated behind a table cluttered with artifacts that don't belong in this world, looks up. His eyes catch the candlelight, unreadable. She does not hesitate. There is no point in lying. Not anymore. I did this, she says. I created it. Lucien does not speak, does not move, but she can feel the shift in the room, the way the very air seems to still. It began when I made my first choice, when I chose safety over love, when I left Lilith and took Adam's hand. That was the first sin, and from that moment, the Rootheart was born, a tether, a hunger, a consequence. She steps closer. I tried to bury it. I called upon the celestial order. I bound it, sealed it deep in the earth's bones, but it never really left. Wherever I go, if I stay too long, it finds me. It begins to wake. I think it remembers all those things that I tried to forget. A long silence. The candle flames stretch tall, as if listening. Finally, Lucien exhales, rubs a hand over his jaw. He does not look surprised.
So,
he says, voice quiet.
Can it be stopped?
Evelyn's throat tightens. She wants to say yes. Instead, she says nothing. The Rootheart was never meant to wake. Lucien leans back in his chair, the weight of centuries pressing down between them. He has always been a man of bargains, of measured risks, of debts carefully counted. But there are no ledgers for this.
You should have told me sooner,
he says at last. I know. Another pause, then.
Would you do it again?
Evelyn closes her eyes. She remembers the garden, Lilith's hand in hers, the stars burning cold overhead, the fear, the terrible, inescapable weight of the choice. I don't know, she whispers. Back then, I thought I had no other option. I wasn't brave enough to defy the angels, to defy the Creator. But that choice created everything that followed, including this. Lucien nods as if that is answer enough. The door swings open before either of them can say more. Renard Blackwood stands in the doorway, breathless, the city's night wrapped around his shoulders. His cigarette is half burned, forgotten between his fingers.
Another sighting,
He says, clipped.
another whispering voice in the dark. Whatever's coming, it's coming soon.
Lucien rises. Evelyn steels herself. They are running out of time. Lucien, interlude.
There are moments when you know you're not just living a story. You're approaching its fulcrum. This was one of them. When Evelyn said, "I created it," I already knew. I'd seen the way the city folded around her, how the old places sighed when she passed, how something just beneath our streets called her by a name no one living remembers. You learn to live amongst the ghosts in New Orleans, but some spirits don't haunt, they wait. And the Rootheart, it's not just waiting, it's remembering.
Signs and omens. New Orleans is a city built on stories, but some stories do not stay buried. Some stretch their fingers through time, clawing their way back into the world. It begins slowly. A crack in the wall of a centuries-old building, the kind the city is used to, except this one is not where it should be. It runs jagged like a scar, branching wider overnight. Then there are the vines, green tendrils curling through the ironwork of balconies, creeping through the cobblestone alleys, winding around lampposts like they've been waiting for their chance to return. And the dreams. People speak in hushed tones over morning coffee and cigarette smoke of the things they've seen behind closed eyes, roots pressing through bedroom floors, whispers from beneath the bed, the feeling of being watched from beneath the city itself. Lucien notices it in the air, a pressure, a presence, something unseen, but there all the same, pressing too close, whispering against the skin, the kind of feeling one gets standing at the crossroads at midnight, waiting for a deal to be made. He does not like it. Renard Blackwood notices it too, not with fear, but with interest. He doesn't believe in ghosts, but he believes in power. And what happened beneath the city when the ground cracked open and Evelyn screamed something ancient into the dark? He remembers all of it. He may have hidden in the shadows during that first encounter with the Rootheart, but he didn't forget. Not even close. He follows the rumors because they might lead him back to it. Because even if he doesn't understand the Rootheart, he understands the value of something that other people fear. He listens to bartenders and drifters, sketches maps on napkins, marks where the vines grow quickest. He's not helping, he's hunting. Then there is Sister Mercy. She moves through the quarter like a shadow, her presence like the hush before a storm. When she speaks, people listen, even when they do not want to. And tonight she speaks only one thing. Something is stirring in the city's bones. She looks at Evelyn when she says it. Evelyn, who has spent lifetimes running from whispers, from echoes of things she has tried to forget. Evelyn, who hears her name spoken by voices that should not know it. Evelyn, who can feel the weight of the past pressing against the present, rising like floodwater through the cracks. New Orleans is changing. The city listens, and beneath the streets, something is waking up. Lucien, Interlude 2.
There are bargains I will make. Have made. Some for knowledge, some for power, and few, rare few, for love. But what Evelyn stirred isn't a thing that makes trades. It consumes the roots itself into choices and feeds on them. And she keeps choosing not to run anymore. Which means it's getting closer, and we're not ready.
The Rootheart's Curse. Evelyn stands before the ruins of the chapel, a place long abandoned, where the wind speaks and sighs through the broken beams, and ivy weeps over the stone. It is the kind of ruin that time does not simply forget, but rather chooses to ignore, as if some things are better left untouched. She remembers standing here once, when the chapel was still whole, when candlelight flickered against the stained glass, and she was not yet haunted by what she had done. She remembers the garden, Lila's fingers laced through hers, warm, certain, alive. She remembers letting go. The whispers start as soon as she steps inside.
Did you think you could bury it forever?
Dust shifts in the moonlight. The air thickens.
Did you think the Rootheart would not remember?
She sees it then, flashes of the past, unraveling like a wound reopened. Lilith's voice steady, pleading, "Don't do this." The choice, the betrayal, the garden lost. And later, the ritual, the celestial order called down like judgment, the sealing of something ancient, something born of guilt and memory and love abandoned. The Rootheart, vast and ancient beneath the city, pulsing like something alive, like something chained.
You only delayed the reckoning.
The walls groan. The ground beneath her feet shifts, the wooden beams above cracking in protest. The chapel is crumbling, or maybe it has always been crumbling, waiting for her to return. Evelyn presses a hand to the stone altar, breath unsteady. She can feel it now, the Rootheart, awake and stirring, its voice laced with hunger and knowing. It remembers her. It remembers what she did. The whispers deepen, overlapping, growing stronger, and then a tremor shakes the earth. A crack splits through the chapel floor, jagged as lightning, as if something beneath is pushing upward, reaching. The veil between worlds is thinning. Evelyn closes her eyes, but she cannot unsee the past. The weight of it presses against her, tightening around her throat like unseen hands. The whispers coil around her ribs, sink into her bones.
It is waking.
She steps back, turns, runs before the ruin can collapse around her. But the whispers follow. They always do. Lucien, Interlude 3.
There are ruins in every city, but some are older than brick, older than story. They're made of choices we never outran. Evelyn keeps returning to the chapel like it still holds a prayer, but it doesn't. It holds memory, And memory, I found, is the closest thing to magic that can undo a world. The Rootheart does not want her dead. It wants her honest.
The liminal doorways. The city is shifting. Lucien sees it in the way the streets don't quite line up as they should. In the way the shadows stretch too far under street lamps. In the way the air shivers when no wind blows. Time hiccups around the corners. Places double back on themselves. Alleys where there should be courtyards. Light where there should be dark. Renard hears it in the murmurs of the lost. People who disappear for minutes or hours, returning pale and silent, their eyes filled with things they can't explain. "I was somewhere else," one of them whispers, hands trembling around a cigarette that burns too fast. "I stepped into an alley and it wasn't an alley anymore."
Where was it?
Renard asks. The man shakes his head. "Not here." Renard takes notes. He's not looking to stop it. He's tracing the bleed, watching how thin the veil has grown, trying to find the Rootheart's next mouth. Sister Mercy listens to their stories, her face drawn in solemn understanding. She maps the places where people vanish, threshold points, she calls them, places where reality is thinning, where the edges of the world are curling inward like burnt paper.
"Something is stirring in the city's bones,"
she says.
"Something is pushing through. Something old."
Evelyn already knows. She has seen it in the reflections, mirrors showing places that do not exist, corridors stretching longer than they should, doorways leading somewhere else. One night, she tests it. She walks through an archway in the French Quarter, one she has walked through 100 times before. But tonight, the air is too thick. The space is too hollow. She steps through, and the world shifts. The quarter is gone. The street is still there, but the lamps burn with cold fire. Their glow an unnatural shade of violet. The buildings rise taller, too tall, their facades warped like something grown instead of built. The air hums with whispers just out of reach. The sky is wrong. She turns, and the archway is gone. A trick of the Rootheart, a warning, a promise. She closes her eyes, breathes, reaches for the thread of herself, the part that remembers. She does not belong here, and yet something in this place knows her. A whisper curls against her ear, ancient, amused.
You opened the door once before. Do you remember?
The shadows ripple. Evelyn moves before she can think, stepping forward. No, not forward. Out. And the world snaps back into place. She stumbles onto the cobblestones of New Orleans, the air thick with the scent of rain and river and something deeper beneath. Renard and Lucien find her moments later. Renard's eyes are narrowed, not in concern, but calculation.
Still no idea what that thing wants from you?
He asks. Evelyn's hands are shaking. The Rootheart is pushing through, she tells them, voice unsteady. And I think this time I'm the only one who can stop it. Renard lights a cigarette, exhales slowly.
Then maybe it's time you figured out what it is you're really hiding, because it's not done with you.
Lucien, Interlude 4.
When Evelyn disappeared, I knew where she'd gone. Not the place. The place has no name, but the state of it. The in-between. She's tied to it like ghosts are tied to grief. These doorways, they're not opening for everyone. They're opening for her. And the Rootheart isn't just calling. It's shaping the world around her to fit its memory. That's what happens when a god is born from regret. And Evelyn is divine in all the wrong ways.
Into the in-between. The doorway is nothing special. An arch of old bricks, half covered in creeping vines. The sort of thing you pass 100 times without noticing. But tonight, the air around it hums. The shadows are too still. The light beneath it bends, not around stone or leaf, but around something unseen. Evelyn stands before it. Lucien is beside her, watching with the careful gaze of someone who has read too many omens to pretend he doesn't believe in them. Renard lingers a few paces back, arms folded. He hasn't said what he's doing here. He never does.
You don't have to go in.
Renard says, tone casual, but there's something sharp in his eyes.
But if you do, come back with something useful.
Lucien shoots him a warning glance. Evelyn doesn't answer either of them. Instead, she closes her eyes and inhales, deep, slow, like the city itself is something she must take into her lungs to survive what comes next. And she steps through. The world bends. Not violently, not loudly. It folds like paper soaked in ink, the colors running, the edges softening. The air thickens like river silt, heavy, cloying, teeming with memory. The streets stretch too far. The buildings rise crooked and strange, their windows blinking like eyes that do not close. The sky above is bruised and seething, a shade of violet that has no place in nature. New Orleans flickers between past and present, memory and dream, a ghost of the city superimposed over itself. Gas lamps burn where neon should be. A jazz band plays somewhere far off, but the tune wobbles, warps, twisting in and out of time. Lucien steps in after her. His boots hit the stones with a hollow sound, like footsteps on an empty stage.
Well,
He mutters, glancing around.
that's unsettling.
Evelyn barely hears him, because Lilith is there. Not flesh and blood, not alive, but present. An echo standing in the alley's half-light, flickering between ruin and grandeur. Her dark eyes settle on Evelyn, unreadable. Not angry, not sad, just watching. Evelyn feels it all again. The garden, the choice, the silence that came after. She tries to move toward her, But the space between them is not space at all. It's memory. It's judgment. It's the aching cost of a door opened too late. And then the Rootheart speaks. It doesn't use words. It uses voice. A rumble in the bones. A whisper in the blood.
You cannot undo what has been done.
The ground beneath them pulses. Vines creep along the stones like veins. The iron of the balconies above moans. Rust flaking like old scabs.
You buried me, Evelyn.
It murmurs.
You fed me to the bones of the earth, and now I am waking.
Lucien stiffens. He puts himself half between Evelyn and the flickering, not quite shadow of Lilith.
What happens when it wakes?
The Rootheart laughs. It is not a cruel sound. It is not even angry. It is inevitable. The city lurches, a heartbeat from another time. The mansions shimmer. The Mississippi runs red, then black, then clear. Evelyn exhales, and her voice is steady in spite of the trembling she feels inside. It means we're running out of time. Lucien, Interlude 5.
The first time I saw her, I thought she was a myth. The second time, I knew she was dangerous. But now I see her for what she is. A fault line. A seam between what was and what could have been. The Rootheart doesn't speak to me. It speaks through me. Through the cracks in the world she leaves behind. And in those cracks I see truth. She didn't run from the Rootheart. She built it. Out of longing, out of guilt, out of the bones of her own unbecoming. And I don't think she knows that yet. But she will. She always does. Just in time to bleed for it.
The Rootheart's offer. The ground beneath Evelyn's feet pulses like a heartbeat. Slow, deliberate, and far too deep to belong to anything human. The air congeals, thick with the scent of earth after rain, and something older. Ash, myrrh, and regret. The Rootheart's voice weaves through the space between her ribs, brushing her thoughts like a fingertip over old bruises.
You could fix this,
it says. The world around her flickers. New Orleans spliced with echoes of itself, stitched together with longing. Bourbon Street is aglow with neon and gaslight all at once. Cathedral bells ring in voices instead of chimes. Trees bloom with fruit that taste like memory.
You could change everything.
Evelyn steadies herself, lips dry, hands clenched. And what would that cost? The Rootheart's voice is patient, too patient, like a mother letting a child come to the wrong conclusion.
A life for a life, blood for blood. You know how this works.
Of course she does. The laws of magic are simple. It's the consequences that become tangled. Lucien's hand touches her elbow, grounding, a reminder. His voice is low and steady.
Whatever it's offering, don't listen.
But then, a voice. Soft at first, like the rush of wind through trees. Then warmer, clearer, familiar. Evelyn. Evelyn's breath catches in her chest. Lilith. She turns, and there she is. Not an echo, not a shadow. Lilith, standing in the shifting glow, her gaze calm and unreadable. She is still, so terribly still, as if she belongs to another world entirely.
You could see her again.
The Rootheart says,
You could have her again.
The words burrow in deep, deeper than any vine. They dig through bone. They reach something Evelyn buried so long ago she almost forgot it was hers. A way to undo the past, a chance to unmake the betrayal, to stay, to hold, to choose differently. She takes one step forward. Lucien curses under his breath. His grip tightens.
Evelyn?
She barely feels it. The space warps around her. The in-between is unraveling, drawn taut by longing. The sky above twists like a wound opening. The air ripples. Lilith lifts a hand, as if to reach for hers. Evelyn, she says again. But Evelyn sees it now. The vines wrapped around Lilith's ankles. The shadows gathering at her back, pooling like blood beneath a closed door. This is not a gift. The Rootheart is not offering her Lilith. It is using her. Evelyn stops. The illusion flickers. The colors bleed at the edges. The city ripples around her like an old photograph caught in water. She sees the truth, the cage of roots, the whispering dark, the hunger beneath the promise. No, she says. The vines recoil. The mirage wavers. Lilith's image falters, just once, like a flame losing oxygen. The Rootheart sighs.
Pity.
And then the city groans. The ground cracks. The air pulls taut, the way skin does just before it splits. Lucien yanks her backward, this time with force. And she lets him. The doorway slams shut behind them, brick and vine sealing them off from the in-between. But the Rootheart's voice lingers, coiling in Evelyn's ear as they stumble back into the damp night air of the quarter.
You will return, Evelyn.
It whispers.
You always do.
Renard Blackwood is gone by the time they return. He didn't wait. He never said he would. But Evelyn knows he's watching. Somewhere. The Rootheart offered her Lilith. She wonders what it would offer him. Lucien Interlude 6.
I saw her look at Lilith. Not the image, not the trick. Her. If the Rootheart had offered her power, she would have refused it. If it had offered her death, she might have embraced it. But love, regret in the shape of a woman, that's the one thing Evelyn doesn't know how to turn away from. And if the Rootheart learns to use that, God help us all. Because I'm not sure I could stop her. And I'm not sure I'd want to.
The price of the past. The city is breaking. Not in the way that buildings collapse or streets split from the weight of rain, but in the way a song breaks when you sing it off-key, slightly off, discordant, unmaking itself from the inside. Reality frays around the edges. Street lamps flicker between centuries. The scent of jasmine burns in the air like incense left too long on hot coals. The Mississippi churns with reflections that don't match the sky above. Sister Mercy stands at the center of the street, arms lifted, her voice low and steady, murmuring words older than the city itself, words meant to hold, to bind, to soothe, to seal. But the Rootheart is still hungry. It pulses beneath the surface, a rhythm that infects the bones of the city. Trees bloom and rot in the same breath. Iron railings twist into thorny patterns. Doors open to places that never were.
You know the price, Evelyn.
The Rootheart whispers, sweet as poison.
It has always been the same.
A life, a soul, a sacrifice. Evelyn stands at the threshold, caught between the wreckage of what she ran from and the ruins of what she's built. Lucien watches her, silent, unmoving, but she can feel the question in him. Can this be stopped? She doesn't answer, not with words, because she knows the truth. It cannot be stopped, only delayed, only bound again with blood and will and memory. And the Rootheart remembers everything. Its whispers tighten around her thoughts, thick with old names and older wounds. It shows her Lilith. Not the illusion this time, but the memory, the real thing, her hands, her voice, her choice. It shows her the moment she let go. Evelyn closes her eyes, and she is no longer here. She is back centuries ago, beneath a sky that has forgotten how to forgive. She is holding Lilith's hands. She is choosing the safety of obedience over the terror of love. She is building the Rootheart with that choice, even if she didn't know it then, even if she didn't mean to. And now, on the broken streets of a city, trying to survive her legacy, she knows. She cannot undo it, but she can finish it. She takes a breath. She whispers a name, a sacred name, a name only she was ever meant to speak. It tastes of salt, of ash, of every regret she has carved into her soul. The world shudders. The Rootheart screams, not in words, but in sensation, in color, in sound, in the way the sky trembles and the ground turns to breath. Then, silence. The city exhales, the lights steady, the shadows still. The jasmine stops burning. Sister Mercy lowers her hands. Lucien steps forward, eyes fixed on her. What did you do? Evelyn does not answer. She only knows that something was given, something was taken, and that somewhere, deep beneath the streets of New Orleans, the Rootheart is no longer whispering. For now. Renard does not return for the final confrontation, but she finds a folded note in the chapel days later. No signature, just a question.
If you could have it back, would you pay the price?
She does not answer. Not yet. Lucien, Interlude 7.
She said the name. I don't know which one. I don't need to. You don't survive as long as I have without learning this. Names on knives. And the sharpest ones are the ones we bury deepest. She cut something tonight. Severed it clean. And now the Rootheart is quiet. But quiet isn't peace. It's waiting. Like the eye of a storm. And I have the sinking feeling we're still inside it.
Epilogue. The city breathes. New Orleans exhales. The heavy, humid air settles like a soft shroud, thick with the scent of rain on hot pavement, magnolia in bloom, and the endless pulse of the river beneath the city's bones. The street lights burn steady, no longer flickering between centuries. The gas lamps that once shimmered in and out of time have vanished, replaced by modern electric glow, unwavering, certain. The city pretends it was always this way, but Evelyn knows better. She stands at the ruins of the old chapel, the place where whispered prayers and broken promises once filled the air like smoke. The stones are silent now, but silence is never absence. Beneath her feet, deep in the shadows, no light dares touch. The Rootheart still waits, bound for now. Cracks remain, they always do. Evelyn tilts her head, listening. For what? She isn't sure. An echo, a whisper, a name long unspoken but never forgotten. For the briefest of moments, she swears she hears it. Lilith's voice, soft, distant, just beyond reach. Lucien approaches quietly, hands tucked into his pockets. His breath is a steady weight against a world still shifting beneath their feet. He doesn't ask if it's over. He knows better than that. The city breathes, and somewhere beneath its skin, something still listens. Somewhere in the city, Renard watches the street from the upper balcony of a decaying bar. He lights a match with his thumb, turns it in his fingers like a coin.
Still breathing.
He murmurs to the darkness.
That means it's not over.
He lets the match burn down to the skin, then lights another. Lucien, final interlude.
We live in the spaces between breaths, in the moments when the city holds its silence, while waiting to exhale again. Evelyn carries the weight of the past like a shadow, but she also carries the light to face what is coming. The Rootheart may sleep for now, but some debts never disappear. They only wait.
In New Orleans, stories don't end, they wait. Tonight, the city whispered back, and Evelyn answered. The Rootheart's voice is growing stronger, and the line between prayer and curse has almost vanished. You've been listening to Tongue of the Serpent, written and created by Loveday Funk. Wilson Revell is the voice of Lucien Devereaux. Miranda Funk is the voice of Sister Mercy. And Jared Savoy is the voice of Renard Blackwood. If this story followed you home, share it. That's how we keep the whispers from getting lonely.